Hello, welcome back to my channel. Today we're doing another Kindle Unlimited reading vlog and I am very excited about it. It is Saturday at about 4:30 p.m. so I'm definitely getting a slower start to my day. Knocked out some sort of like exciting adult tasks like grocery shopping earlier, but I'm just in the mood to read some smutty sports romances and I'm hoping that you are ready to read them along with me as well, or I guess watch me read them. I selected 3 books for this video, books that I have I think mostly heard about from other people, which is kind of the way that I like to get my Kindle Unlimited recommendations lately. And one of which is a book that y'all have like not shut up about. Like so many people have asked me to read this one. So let me tell you the names of the 3 books that I'm going to be reading and then I'm going to get into it. I'm eyeing my egg chair out of the corner of my eyes. I'm going to like go sit out there, read some smut. Ooh, best Saturday. Okay, so the first book that I'm going to be reading is Play With Me by Becca Mack. This is the second book in a series and I'm not going to lie to you. I read the first one. I think it's called Consider Me and I barely remember it. I did give it 4 stars. It was a romance that I liked, but I think that one had a bit of a weird ending in that it was a little bit like too many epilogues. Like the couple story had reached like a natural conclusion, but the author kept going with it. Curious about this one. I think someone DM'd me and said that they thought this one was better than the first, so excited to read it. I think it's a football romance. Maybe it's hockey. Actually, I don't really know, but I'm excited about it. We're going to be reading it. Then I have 5 Rounds. I want to say Reagan from Ray Ray Reads was reading this and really enjoyed it. It is an enemies to lovers MMA fighter romance. I feel like I don't read enough fighter romances. The ones that I have read, I really like. I'll tell you a little bit more about this one. I'm like 20% into it. And then lastly, obviously, Icebreaker by Hannah Grace. This is a hockey player and ice skater romance. I think she's an ice skater, he's a hockey player, and I think they have to skate at the same rink because one of the rinks closed down, like maybe the hockey rink. Not entirely sure. What I am sure about is that Pickles should not be up there trying to mess with my microphone while I'm doing my videos. Anyway, those are the 3 books I'm going to be reading. Let me tell you about the one that I've already started, which is 5 Rounds. So 20% in, and this is an enemies to lovers MMA romance. We have our hero who is the brother of our heroine's best friend. So our heroine has a male best friend, which I love. I feel like we don't see that enough in romance, and it's not going to be romantic between them, which is awesome. So our heroine Remy is kind of in a tough spot because her landlord is unceremoniously kicking her out before the end of her lease. She is trying to scramble to find a place to live. She does find an apartment, but it's not going to be ready until about a month after she needs it. So she's going to live with her best friend Jax for 10 days, or at least live in Jax's home. Jax is actually going to be traveling to another state for those days. He is in like corporate sales or something like that. All too relatable. I feel like all my friends are in sales, but Jax is going on a trip. Remy is going to be sleeping in his bed and having to deal with his annoying brother Tristan. Tristan's an MMA fighter. I think they're all kind of interested in MMA. Jax in kind of a more of casual capacity. Our heroine does it more from like a workout perspective, but our hero Tristan is really into it. He's always just been really antagonistic to our heroine and like vice versa. They definitely like to tease each other. There's been a lot of kind of playful antics, playful banter, I guess you could say, and exchanges and pranks and stuff since she's moved into the apartment. At the 20% mark, she's already moved into the apartment. Actually, it might be a house. I think it's a house. Kind of giving me Beautiful Disaster vibes, and that's part of the reason I picked this up. Beautiful Disaster and its author have its issues. There's no denying that, but I kind of love a corny, like, contrived story like that. I like a good fighter story. I like a good semi-enemies to lover story, forced proximity. Oh no, I have to live with him. I eat it up, okay? I eat it up and I am eating it up again now. So I'm having a good time with it. I don't think this is like the best written story ever, and I think I'm having a hard time really understanding character motivations, but I do like it. So Remy is in a job where she, I guess, like translates software engineer lingo into marketing material for software, and she kind of hates her job, so we know that. We also know, again, that like she got kicked out of her apartment, so we kind of understand her a little bit, but I don't feel like I know Tristan and why he is being such a dick to our heroine. It's clear he's attracted to her, but it's not like he's been pining for her this entire time, and that's kind of what's causing his animosity. So I don't really 100% like buy his bullshit, but I am on board with the story because, you know, like I said, kind of Beautiful Disaster vibes. Also, curious, let me know in the comments down below, are you going to be watching the movie? I do love a Sprouse Brothers moment. I guess it's just one Sprouse brother, but anyway, I'm gonna continue reading this. Gonna go sit in my egg chair with a little blanket because it's kind of chilly outside, and maybe I'll update you from out there as well when I get like 50% into this book. Yeah. I did get to the 50% mark in 5 rounds, and I feel like my thoughts and feelings about this book are the same as at the 20% mark, which is not necessarily a good or a bad thing. I mean, obviously I would hope to enjoy the book more than I was at the 20% mark, but I'm not mad at it. I'm feeling a 3-star coming on here, which I feel like has not happened in a while for a Kindle Unlimited vlog, and part of me is like, oh no, like, are we sinking back into that? But you know what? Some books are good, some books are not as good, and that's okay. Remy and Tristan have consummated, I was gonna say their relationship, not not really their relationship, but consummated their enemies to lovers thing they've got going on. They've had sex. Yes, the steamy scenes are hot. I am not mad at them. I'm not mad at the direction that things are moving in. I like that we have had some actual discussion and some dialogue, which actually ended up happening after the sex scenes. But I don't think that this is like a deeply emotional story where there's just this like incredible connection between characters. And it really, I guess, just reminds me of like all of the great things that I've read this year, which is kind of nice. I'm for some reason thinking of Heartless when I'm reading this book and just kind of like comparing them in my head. They're completely different stories, right? Completely different tropes and different things that the authors are obviously trying to accomplish. But I just wish, I think, that the sexual component mixed with the enemies to lovers, mixed with the newfound friendship had been sort of wrapped together a little bit more neatly. I just feel like things are feeling a little disjointed, right? Because it goes from we hate each other, we're pranking each other, immediately to having sex, and then now we're trying to be friends. And it just feels like the order of operations is just not really there. And I'm not saying that it cannot ever happen in this order, but I just feel like the execution of those elements in the story is a little bit lacking. But I'm trying to think about it, and it's not like it's missing a ton. Otherwise, I think maybe I'm just picky, but I mean, I know that I'm picky, but there definitely is that element of our heroine, like, you know, trying to like figure out her career. We also have Tristan trying to figure out his career. Like, there are definitely other parts here. It's not just like this kind of half-baked enemies to lovers thing. There's definitely effort made, but I'm just not like overly impressed. And I probably shouldn't have, but I did check Goodreads, and a lot of people were saying that while they enjoyed this book, it wasn't their favorite, and a lot of people gave this book 3 stars. So I feel validated in my feelings about it. I don't know why I'm like feeling self-conscious lately, but I just don't want to have, I don't know, controversial opinions on books at the moment. I don't know why. I think, you know what I think it is? It's the list video that I posted most recently. I was definitely very hard on the books, obviously. Comments are gonna roll in talking about how maybe you should try a different genre. Maybe romance just isn't for you. And I don't know. I think it's just making me self-conscious about my feelings about books, right? Like, I love romance, but I don't always want to be that bitch who's like complaining about everything. This isn't bad. I don't even know what I'm going on about. I'm gonna finish this book. I'm gonna let you know my thoughts and feelings, and I will likely start in on the Becca Mac book and get 20% into that before I update you again. All right, it is much later. It's like 10:30 at this point. I finished 5 rounds. I'm 20% into Play With Me. I don't like that book title. I'm gonna be honest with you, it's a little fishy. Let's talk about 5 rounds. I'm gonna give this book 3 stars, and that's being generous. I really think this is more of like a 2-star read, which is not to say that it's terrible. It's not to say that I wouldn't recommend it if you're looking for an MMA romance with a lot of smut. But there were 2 things that definitely brought my enjoyment of the story down, and I think this is definitely a personal thing. It's not like this is objectively, you know, no-go for everyone, but didn't like the amount of alcohol usage in this book. I understand that most adult people drink alcohol. I'm not one of those people, but I don't look down on other people who do drink alcohol. Like, everyone in my life drinks it, whatever. However, I don't like when there are like drunken makeout sessions or drunken sex moments, especially in real life. Books, you know, I can maybe allow it once, like, oh, you know, we had a drunken night of passion together, okay, sure. But I don't like that our heroine really like self-medicated with alcohol, like a lot. It was a little worrisome, the amount that she drank. It was like every weekend or every night after work, she would like go out and get hammered. The next day she would go to the MMA gym and tell her coach like, oh, ignore the smell of tequila sweating out of my pores or something. I was just like, I didn't like that. I don't know. It just like stood out to me, and I feel like it doesn't normally stand out to me in books, like how much characters drink, but this definitely stood out to me. And then additionally, I counted the amount of page turns that I had on my Kindle. I have like a fairly small font, I would say, on my Kindle. Like, I'm not like a 3 words on each page kind of gal, right? When I was reading a sex scene in this book, it took 13 page flips to get through it. And that's only one of the multitude of sex scenes in this book. Am I just becoming a curmudgeonly old lady who doesn't like sex in my old age? I don't know, but I am just kind of sick of the amount of smut in some of these books. I get it. If that's all you're in the book for, sure. And here's my thing though. It's like, if I wanted to read smut, I would go pick up a Jessica Kane. I would pick up something just fucking outrageous that's going to be like 50 to 70 pages of just pure smut. Okay, sure, I would do that. I don't want to invest myself in a story that's nearly 500 pages for you to like not do very much with your characters and then just have a lot of sex. It's unexciting to me. I don't appreciate it. It wasn't a terrible book or anything. I do think that emotions were definitely had. I do think there was some progression in some of the storylines. Obviously, our hero kind of goes through it with his family a little bit, trying to like follow his dreams, and his parents and like not being that supportive, whatever. Also, I don't think Jax and Tristan are actually related, so I don't know why I thought they were brothers. Definitely misread that. Just roommates, I guess. Yeah, this was just whatever. Let's move on. Okay, it was 3 stars. I don't want to think about it anymore. This next book that I picked up, Play With Me. How could I forget that name, honestly? Is better, I think. The writing is definitely standout in this book, and I think that's why I am enjoying it much more than I was enjoying the last book. I'll get it out of the way right now. This is silly. The dialogue is silly. The way these characters behave is kind of silly. I would liken it, honestly, to some of the situations that occur in Elena Armas books. I think this writing is like definitely more my speed than her writing, but it definitely has that like silly factor to it. So I think if that's something that you don't like, don't pick this book up. You're definitely not going to enjoy it, but I think it's actually keeping me entertained, and it's definitely making it more of a page turner than I think it would be otherwise. So we have our heroine Jenny. She is the sister of the hero of the last book. You don't have to read these like in order necessarily, but there are a lot of like interwoven characters, and I think you'd appreciate the story more if you pick up the first book first. But Jenny is the sister of the hero of the last book, and our hero, what's this man's name? Garrett, is a professional hockey player and is on Jenny's brother's team. I think they're like best friends. Are they best friends? I don't know. They're friends at least, okay? And Garrett, I guess historically has been kind of the soft-spoken one on the team. He is a little bit of a ladies' man, but like he's very soft-spoken, and he has a thing for Jenny. We find out like the first chapter, the first page, honestly, that he has a thing for her. They're at the wedding of the hero and heroine from the last book, and it's very obvious he's very attracted to her. Not trying to pursue anything because he knows that it could be complicated given, you know, the relationships going on there, the fact that like this girl is his friend's sister, but he definitely has an attraction. Jenny ends up moving into the apartment building that Garrett lives in, so they see each other more than they have previously. He has like been sleeping with some random girl that like lives in the apartment complex as well, but she's just gonna be like conflict later on. I don't have much to say in terms of plot because not a lot is happening in this book, and the Goodreads reviews definitely let me know that this book there's no plot. It's just characters. And to be honest, sometimes I like that. Sometimes I don't necessarily need all the plot in the world. There's enough in terms of interpersonal conflict that I am intrigued. I also like that Jenny is a professional ballet dancer. She's a professional dancer of some sort. I think she's in her last year of college maybe, and I think she's trying to figure out what she's going to do like the next year, but I don't know. It's good. It's entertaining. It's probably not going to change the world or anything. It's not going to be like the most memorable book ever. Again, I like could barely remember the first book in the series. I've since remembered that I was correct on that one being like the crazy epilogue book. Hoping this one isn't that way, but it is like 500 plus pages. So anyway, I'm obviously very tired and I'm kind of losing my shit a little bit. I talked about it in the weekly reading vlog. You're going to see the weekly reading vlog after this, but I have started a new psychiatric medication, and so I'm a little bit more tired than I normally am. Sorry if any of this is incoherent. I need to go take my makeup off. I'm going to try to get to the 50% mark of this book tonight and then update you tomorrow morning bright and early on my feelings, and we can then eventually, maybe someday, get into Icebreaker. I'm so sorry, but I literally cannot get enough of doing my makeup while talking to you. I don't know, it's just doing something for me recently. Let's talk about Play With Me by Becca Mack. I got 50% in last night. It is like 11 o'clock now. I had a delightful McDonald's breakfast. Thanks for asking. I'm still enjoying this book. Like, is anything really happening in terms of like plot progression? Not really, but it's not like distracting me, if that makes sense. Like, I'm not constantly thinking like, well, fuck, like I wish things were actually happening in this book. Like, I'm having a good time with it. Is it too long? Yes, but I don't really care if I'm like invested in the characters and I like their interactions. And I do think that Becca Mack like has a writing style that I enjoy. Again, it is a little over the top. The comedy is probably not going to be for everybody, but I think it's fun. And I'm willing to overlook, I guess, some of the immaturity on the parts of some of our characters. I do think, okay, you know, I said that the plot wasn't moving forward. That's actually not entirely true. So we have our heroine Jenny, our hero Garrett, and they are engaging in a sexual relationship at this point, but it's not actually like, I don't want to say it's not penetrative. How do I say this politely? There's no P entering V, shall we say. This is like a hard kind of rule that Jenny laid down for Garrett. She was like, you know, I haven't had the best luck with men in the past. I think she was in an emotionally abusive relationship semi-recently that she got out of. You know, she's just not ready to talk about it, and she's also not ready to have that sort of intimacy, I guess. And so they do other things together, and he's just so respectful of her boundaries and doesn't try to like push her. I like that their friendship is definitely moving forward as well. And like, I think there can be a balance, right? Like, I think there could definitely be more plot in this book, and it could have been trimmed down, and it could have been a bunch of different things, but I'm like accepting this book for what it is, and what it is just a really well-written romance. Like, I do think that the two characters like work so well together. I like their relationship. I like that our hero, like, he understands that our heroine is kind of grumpy and or bitchy as sort of a defense mechanism. He understands her passions, and, you know, she has said like, you know, I want to be a dancer. I figured out she doesn't want to do ballet, actually. She dances mostly contemporary, and she wants to, I think, eventually open her own studio and teach children, which I think is just so sweet. Cool, I guess, that she has that sort of like passion and drive. I love seeing characters who seem really real and definitely have, you know, ambition and things that make them excited. And he is like so supportive of these goals and dreams. She got offered, I guess, this position in Toronto, and I think they're in BC, so like it'd be very far obviously from her family. And, you know, it's a good opportunity, but she doesn't want to take it because she has other dreams and other goals, and he gets that, and he like wants to support her. He couldn't make it to one of her performances that was going to be happening around the Christmas season, and so he like live streamed it and stuff. And I don't know, I just really like their interactions. I think it's like really healthy and wholesome and sweet. Obviously it'd be better if they like told the people around them that they were like engaging in some sort of relationship, but it's also no one's business at the same time. I do kind of roll my eyes a little bit when it is a, you know, protective older brother sort of situation. Like that to me is just kind of silly. Granted, I don't have an older brother, so I don't really know what that's like, but I feel like most older brothers wouldn't care that much, you know, if their sister like was in a relationship with a guy that they were like friends with. Maybe I'm wrong. But I am enjoying it. It's a cute story. I'm curious to see when their relationship is going to transform from this sort of like friends with benefits thing into something a little more romantic. I mean, it is already kind of romantic. He got her like a really sweet, kind of like thoughtful, I guess you could say, Christmas present. It's still like funny and like not, you know, overly sentimental, but definitely sweet. So I'm curious to see when that, you know, relationship will really take off. Heroine is definitely getting attached to him. She says things like, you know, even though this relationship isn't something that like is supposed to work out long term, I still want to be your friend, because she just doesn't have a lot of friends. I don't actually know, like, I'm not really sure why she doesn't have any like friendships, but my guess is that her controlling ex like didn't allow her to really have friendships. So I don't know. I really sympathize with her, and I like really feel for her as a character. I think she's like fun to read about, and I like her like comebacks and her, I don't know, she's just like really unapologetic about the things that she likes. There was like a whole thing about sex toys. She's like, you know what? I like them. Like I have fun with them. And she was like a little embarrassed when the entire box of her sex toys spilled all over Garrett, but like she kind of owned it at the same time. I don't know what I'm going on about at this point, but I'm enjoying this story and I'm excited again to kind of see where it goes. I think at this point this is feeling like a 4-star read to me. Not perfect obviously, but I am liking this one considerably more, I would say, than the last one. I think it just feels less generic at the end of the day. I think if you're someone who likes the off-campus series, you might like this as well. I think the only thing that like I don't want to say is irritating me, but I think the immaturity of these characters, these hockey players, would make more sense in like a college setting rather than, you know, pro hockey players. Granted, I'm not saying like, you know, you can't be goofy, that you can't be goofy if you're grown up, but some of this like antics and like humor is a little bit childish. That being said, I think if you like the off-campus series, you would probably enjoy these books as well, and I am just having a good time with it. I don't know, I think like romances don't always have to be super deep to be fun. I am gonna go ahead and finish my makeup. I'll update you when I'm done with this book and when I've gotten started on Icebreaker. I'm gonna go back outside today and sit on my egg chair, soak up that nice fall sunshine, and I won't sweat my ass off in long sleeves. Ooh, it's gonna be fun. Okay, I'll be back. All right, I'm outside in my egg chair and there are children playing, which is a delightful sound. Not so much when you're trying to record a video, but that's fine. It's fine. I finished Play With Me and I am gonna give this book 4 stars. It was just delightful. I really love a hero who is so obsessed with the heroine, and that was just definitely the case here. Was it absolutely too long? Yes. I don't think a romance needs to be 500 plus pages, especially when it's not like a slow burn romance. Like this is not a Mariana Zapata situation. They're definitely like intimate, you know, kind of from the beginning, not, you know, full PNV like I told you earlier, but definitely intimate enough to where like it's not a slow burn. But I just really loved how accepting and understanding Garrett was of some of the things that Jenny was going through. I liked that she was also there for him when he struggled. It was a nice story. I don't know how else to put it. I think this was really fun, and I think if you just want to sink into a really charming romance where the hero is just like obsessed with the heroine, you should definitely check this one out. I feel like there aren't very many stories out there like this, and I think sometimes the page length of a story is not necessarily the worst thing in the world. Like yes, this one was long, but I think sometimes when you are that into the characters, like it doesn't really take away from the story that much. Like I wasn't really that mad that this book was 500 plus pages. So moving on. I am 50% into Icebreaker, and I didn't know how I felt at the 20% mark, so I decided to get 50% in before I said anything, and I don't know how I feel about this book. I think these smutty scenes are pretty decent. I like this idea. I like at the 50% mark where things are going, but up until the 50% mark, like from 0 50%, I just feel like I've been kind of underwhelmed by the story. Not for the reasons other people have been underwhelmed, I believe, but for other reasons. So let me try to explain. So this story is about our main character, Anastasia, I don't know, I'm gonna go with Anastasia. She is a figure skater in college. She goes to UC Maple Hill, which is like some made-up school, but cute concept, like it. Anastasia's a figure skater, and we have our hockey player, Nathan. They come into contact because the ice rink for the hockey players is kind of not functional because of some pranks that kind of went wrong, I believe. We don't know the exact reason why that rink is out of commission, but they're going to have to share a rink now, the skating team and the hockey team. Anastasia is in a sort of like friends with benefit situation with another guy. She also has kind of a weird relationship with her skating partner. She's a pair skater, not an individual skater. Holy shit, huge spider. But she enters into a sexual relationship with Nathan pretty early on, I would say, in the book. They have this like hookup. Then from there, they enter into a different friends with benefits relationship. I guess heroine's initial hookup buddy found a girl that he liked, and so she was like, okay, cool, like let's end this. And now she's hooking up with Nathan instead. Issue is that like I thought there was going to be more tension between the whole like ice skating hockey player having to share a rink thing, and there really wasn't. I feel like these two just kind of like hopped into bed together, and while it was hot, and while I'm not like mad at it, it's like perfectly fine to read, I am not like that attached to their relationship. I guess it is sweet that he is kind of understanding, kind of like Garrett from the last book. He is interested in our heroine for more than just sex, even though it is sort of a friends with benefit situation. I'm just like not totally sold on the romance. I think the peripherals are fine. A lot of people bitch there were too many characters in this book, and I kind of agree, but I do think it kind of leads to a more well fleshed out feeling story, especially in college. Like you're surrounded by people, especially if you're on, you know, a sports team. You're bound to be surrounded by a bunch of different people, and it makes sense that there are going to be a bunch of like peripheral side characters, whatever. I don't know. It does help make the book feel more fleshed out, but at the same time, I do think it bogs down the story just a little bit. Surprisingly, that's like not really, again, what has been bothering me. It's that I feel like the story is just moving along slowly. It's very obvious to me that this is the first book by this author, and that's not an insult because it's not a terrible book by any means. If this were my first book, I would be very proud of it. But I do think it's interesting that the conflict that you think is going to be the conflict is not in fact the conflict. The thing that is supposed to be the tension between the two is not actually the tension between the two. And the thing that happens at the 50% mark is what is going to carry our story forward, and that's the most interesting part. I wish it had come in sooner is the issue. So let me tell you what that thing is. Essentially, our heroine's skating partner, Aaron, is up getting injured, and he ends up dropping the heroine on the ice. In essence, she's going to need a new partner, and who volunteers but Nathan, who has been kind of kicked off the team a little bit because he is the one who claims that he injured Aaron in the first place. So he's not currently playing hockey on his team, so he's going to help out our heroine. And that is a trope that I really like. I can't remember the name of the like 80s movie that does this thing, where it is a hockey player becoming a figure skater to help out female figure skater. But I love that. Like that's so compelling, and I'm excited to see what happens from this 50% mark on. I really thought I would update you at 50% and be like, I don't like this, I'm gonna give it 2 stars or DNF it or something like that. But I'm not feeling that way right now, and I am happy about it. So I think what I'm gonna do is go inside where there are not barking dogs and screaming children, and I'm going to finish this book and give you my final thoughts. Alright, so I finished Icebreaker, and I actually thought this was charming. When do I ever like TikTok recommended books? Someone please tell me. I think the answer is fucking never. So I'm sort of shocked and surprised that I enjoyed this. Is this incredible, show-stopping, breathtaking, whatever? No. I think I'm going to give it 3 stars, but I really want to read more from this author in the future because I think she did a really good job at creating a world that was really, I would say, realistic in a way. I really liked all of the side characters. I really grew to enjoy the other hockey players, and I can definitely understand why people enjoy this. It very much reminds me of the Off-Campus series, and I'm not saying that all hockey romances are like the Off-Campus series, but I really do feel like this one was. I think it was at times trying to do a little bit too much. I feel like certain storylines didn't get wrapped up as well as I feel like they could have. I do feel like the progression from hockey player to figure skater was maybe a little bit too easy for our hero, but I also feel like not enough was done with that storyline, which was a little bit upsetting. Not upsetting, but just like, you know, disappointing, I suppose. But I really liked the relationship between hero and heroine. I feel like, honestly, for all of these books, the heroes were just incredibly understanding, delightful individuals, which I really, really appreciate. Don't get me wrong, I love a steamy guy who's like gruff and doesn't talk a lot, but I liked that these heroes in these books really wanted to understand the heroine and like really were there for her emotionally. And in this book, that definitely was the case as well. Like Nathan, I thought was a really delightful hero. I love that he was like quick to say I love you. It was fun. Like I feel like I should have more tasting notes, shall we say, for this book, but I feel like I am not upset at it. And again, I'm 99% sure this is a debut unless there are some books missing off of Goodreads. I'm very impressed with this from the perspective of it being a debut. I think this is like deserving of hype. I wouldn't say it's, you know, the best written book I've ever read, but it was a lot of fun. I definitely can respect what this author's doing. I was feeling a little bit apprehensive when I first started this vlog, to be honest. Like each book that I started for this video kind of didn't go exactly how I planned. I really didn't like any of these books when I started them, but they all turned out to be pretty solid romances. I think you would probably be happy picking any of these up. I don't think any of them are like true standouts, but I think if you were in the market for a good sports romance, I think any of these would really like fit the bill. So yeah, I'm not mad at it at all. This vlog definitely didn't turn out with as many 5 stars as my last KU vlog, but I am definitely not mad at it. So I'll leave links to these books in the description if you have any interest in adding them to your TBR, but thank you so much for watching this video. Let me know in the comments down below if you've read any of these and what your thoughts and feelings are, and or let me know in the comments what a favorite sports romance of yours is so I can add it to my TBR. But love you all so much. Thanks so much for watching, and until until next time.